What's going on, Commanders fans? We're back with another video. Day 2 of training camp has wrapped up. We do have a few house cleaning items to get to, press conferences and such. Also, my favorite shirt. I just purchased this, wearing this for day 2 of training camp. The District also has the Commanders logo. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit that subscribe button on the road to 2,000. I cannot do it without you. Hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss a thing. Now let's go ahead and get into today's video. So the press conferences, obviously before and after practice. Von Miller should be speaking soon. I wanted to get this out to you guys, though. I didn't want to make you wait. So let's get to Dan Quinn's presser. So he started talking about how they customize how they keep every single older vet fresh and ready. They do that organizationally. They keep every vet fresh and ready. They did give some vets rest days. We'll talk about that later. They gave him some today. He talked about how Jaden has unseen work, and he's always working, and he's always improving. And all the QB play in, the coaching staff has really helped Jaden. They also talked about how they picked players this offseason that fit their culture. And I honestly love that, picking guys that fit your own culture. It's only going to grow the culture. Quinn also said, we wanted to be a line of scrimmage team first. He talked about, how they wanted to be a line of scrimmage team first. They wanted to match what the Eagles did. The Eagles beat the Chiefs on the Super Bowl last year because of the lines, and the Commanders said they wanted to be a line of scrimmage team first this year. So that's why they got Josh. They got Laramie. Quinn also said that they will mix Wiley and Connerly at right tackle every day. That's what they did today during practice. We might talk about that later. And then Quinn also said Marshawn Lattimore is off to a great start. So, with that being said, let me give you some of Brandon Coleman's press conference, and then we'll get to the practice. I know you guys are all waiting for that. Coleman said he is now teaching the young guys. So he's teaching guys like Josh. He's teaching guys like Tim McKay. He's teaching the young guys certain things, which I love to hear. Coleman said he's waiting till they put pads on to fully understand where he's at and to fully understand how he can get better at the guard position. Coleman says Josh Connerly's always wanting to improve and a student of the game, which is exactly what we wanted to hear. And then Coleman says experience from last year has really helped him because, he used to play a tackle spot, and now he can see what edge rushers are looking at, what they're thinking, where they're going to go, and so that's going to help him at the guard position. All right, let's get to the practice now. Again, Von Miller is supposed to speak later. I don't know. I didn't want to wait to listen to him speak and take notes on that because I wanted to get this video out to you guys, like I said. First thing we had was Nick Allegretti was taking some snaps with the QBs during warm-ups. He'll work at guard and as well as center this summer. So Nick Allegretti will work at guard and center this summer. I thought that was interesting. And then you weren't going to see anything from linebacker Von Miller, offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, and wide receiver Noah Brown, as they all had a vet day off. Now, some of you are going to say, on the second day of camp, what a joke. I think that it's important that they keep these guys fresh. Some of these guys are injury prone. You have to keep them fresh and give them days off, so I'm fine with it. I really like that Dan Quinn is doing that. So, here's the actual practice, 7-on-7, 11-on-11s. Zach Selby said, Mariota's now in at QB. First pass is to Brooks for a decent gain. He means Ja'Cory Brooks. That's a guy we'll talk about later. Ja'Cory Brooks went absolutely insane these first 2 days of camp. Mariota was in at QB. Brooks works well with him. And when Jaden was in at QB, we'll see how good, Brooks did with him. Zach Selby also writes, and by the way, all these clips on the screen, they're not mine. NBC4 Sports, Mitch Tischler, John Keim, JP Finley. Shout out to all of them because they're their clips. They're not mine. I don't own a single clip in this video, so there's my credits to them. Zach Selby wrote, pretty nice catch by Tyree Jackson. Used all of his 6'7" to make a diving catch near the sideline. We had heard reports, earlier that the Commanders really like Tyree Jackson. He looked like he's a big tight end. He's a big good player. Maybe he shakes out to have a shot to make the roster. He did make a nice dive and catch near the sideline today. I wish Zach would have wrote which quarterback it was from. Either way, he made a nice dive and catch. Zach Selby also writes, now moving on to 7-on-7, Jaden Daniels' first pass, wide open touchdown to Chris Moore. We've talked about it all offseason. We talked about Chris Moore all offseason. He is a really freaking good veteran, and he has a shot to make this roster. Without Terry McLaurin here, that just helps him even more. He's been balling out this season. Chris Moore looks really good. This is a receiver that's had 500 yards in his career in a single season before. This is a really good player in Chris Moore that, he's supposed to be frying these younger guys, but you got to watch Chris Moore. I've talked about it. There's a lot of veterans in this wide receiver room, and Chris Moore looks like he's going to try to lead that room. Talking about guys like KJ Osborne, talking about guys like Michael Strahan, talking about guys like Michael Gallup, talking about guys like KJ Osborne, if I didn't already mention him. Chris Moore is trying to lead that room. Zach Selby also writes, I'm getting all my updates from Zach Selby if you couldn't tell. Nice pass breakup by Igbenogany while working against Strahan, who had a touchdown pass in his hands before it was broken up. So Michael Strahan had a touchdown pass in his hands, and Noah Igbenogany broke it up. I'm really excited about what Noah Igbenogany can be this year. Igbenogany last year, he was a starter at the inside nickel position, and this year, he can kind of move to a backup position, move to more of a depth piece, but he's still going to stick at the inside. He's going to have Sanders still in front of him. I love what we could see this year because, when you have him as a backup, that's going to work really well. When he has to come into the game, it's not a problem, but you don't want him starting. So Igbenogany had a nice pass breakup today on Michael Strahan. Dula on Twitter writes, couple nice pass breakups from Sam Still. The slot spot going to be nice for him. Sam Still, we all talked about it. I mean, he's going to be a really good slot cornerback. He's a good outside corner, but the speed just didn't seem to be there at the outside position. Not the best option that you could have. You'd rather have a guy like Trey Amos. You'd rather have a guy like Marshawn Lattimore. But Sam Still is back to his normal position at the nickel position. He's playing really well so far. He had a couple of pass breakups today in practice. Zach Selby wrote, good coverage by the defense during 7-on-7 with Mariota in at QB forced him to scramble on back-to-back reps. Now, note that he writes, by the defense during 7-on-7 with Mariota in at QB. I would say if this said Jaden Daniels in at QB, it would say the offense is cooking the defense because we all know how Jaden Daniels is, but Mariota's not as good as Jaden Daniels. So the defense should be getting after him. They forced him to scramble on back-to-back reps. And obviously, you can't sack a quarterback at this point because there's no pads still, just helmets. So you can hug them, and that would be the play. This is the exciting part. Zach Selby wrote another touchdown catch for Brooks. Daniels in at QB. So, Ja'Cory Brooks had 2 touchdowns yesterday and a nice catch. Ja'Cory Brooks had a nice catch today and 1 touchdown today. You're going to hear more news that you're going to like about Ja'Cory Brooks later. Y'all just stay tuned and hang in there. But he did have a touchdown from Jaden Daniels today as well. Scott Abraham writes, I like what I see from Commanders rookie cornerback Trey Amos. Explosive, quick twitch, long ball skills, and very encouraged. Now, this is awesome because Trey Amos is that dude. We've talked about him all offseason. We talked about how he's going to be a starter. We talked about how the rookie contract wasn't signed. We were worried. It did get signed. He's happy. The organization's happy. Trey Amos is balling out still at this part of the offseason. Now, granted, there's no patch. We don't know what he can fully do, but Trey Amos looks really good. Those coverage skills look really good according to everyone out there at practice. Scott Abraham writes, no more Jeremy Chin. Who's going to step up as that other Commander safety? That's a big question we've had. I like Scott giving that question. That's a question that I've tried to answer, and I just seem to not be able to do it. It seems like they brought Will Harris in to be that replacement, but we don't know. So Will Harris will get that first shot is what Scott Abraham wrote. Will Harris is a really versatile guy. He was playing inside cornerback earlier this offseason. He's going to get starting He's going to be the starting safety. It seems opposite of Jeremy Chin. We'll see how that works out. But right now, he's doing really, really well. I'm excited to see Will Harris' development. People have talked about him like a Frankie Louvu, like he runs around the field and hits really hard. So I'm excited to see how he plays this year. Felix Trammell writes, for 11 on 11s, Wiley moves to left tackle, Connerly at right tackle. Like I said earlier, I told you guys, Wiley and Connerly were going to mix at left tackle and right tackle. They're both going to try things. And by the way, like I said, Laramie Tunsil was out at left tackle today, so that opened up a spot for somebody. So, because Laramie Tunsil had a vet day off. So he writes, Wiley moves to left tackle, Connerly at right tackle, same D-line from yesterday. Secondary, Amos, Lattimore, Sammerstill, Martin, Harris. So this is most likely what it's going to look like. Amos at outside cornerback, Lattimore at outside cornerback, Sammerstill at inside cornerback, Quan Martin at free safety, Will Harris Quan Martin strong safety, Will Harris free safety. That's how I believe it's going to look. That's how it looked today. And he said D-line was the same. The D-line yesterday was Frankie Louvu, I forget. I think Von Miller, Frankie Louvu, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong were your interior. And so Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong were the interior. Frankie Louvu and Von Miller were your outside edge rushers. Felix Trammell also writes, Trey Amos keeps making plays, man. They may have found another one. As we talked about it, we said they may have found another one earlier this offseason. Felix Trammell writes, Trey Amos keeps making plays. He just keeps showing it. And if you continue to ball out and show it every single day, you're continuing to get better and improve and learn from guys like Marshawn Lattimore. It becomes, obvious that you're going to be a good player in this league. So I'm really excited. Zach Selby writes, Ja'Cory Brooks. And then he puts a comma. So he's basically saying Ja'Cory Brooks is here. Puts a comma. Who has stood out over the past 2 days, staying long after practice is over to get more reps with Mariota and Josh Johnson. Oh man, this has the writing on the wall. Ja'Cory Brooks looks like the next guy. We've talked about it every year. There seems like an undrafted free agent that we love. This year, it's Ja'Cory Brooks. I don't know if he has a legitimate shot. It seems like it so far. If you continue to stack up days, continue to score touchdowns every single day, you're going to get somewhere. He's staying after practice with Marcus Mariota and Josh Johnson to get extra reps with them. Wait till Dan Quinn sees that, man. It's going to be awesome. Skylar Nelson writes, wide receiver Luke McCaffrey is definitely a player to keep an eye on at Commanders training camp. This is something that I was actually wondering in my head before I made this pod. I was like, we haven't heard much about Luke McCaffrey. Like, we heard about him earlier this offseason, but we haven't heard anything about him right now. And Skylar Nelson writes, he showed major strength and improvement in OTAs and caught a touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels today in 7-on-7s. Wide receiver 3 option loading, ? We don't know that yet, but that's definitely a good question. So there's all the practice notes for you. It was a very eventful day. Again, we're still in helmets. They will move to pads in the next few days, but this is a really good time for everybody. Mitch Tischler also wrote, got a chance to catch up with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt today, who had a nice inside touchdown run today and finished it off with a dunk over the goalpost. So Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had a touchdown yesterday, had a touchdown today. He continues to stack up days. Von Miller spoke to the media today. He said, the Washington Redskins called me a month and a half ago. So Von Miller just used the Washington Redskins name in his press conference. JP Finley also wrote, Von Miller on Washington, the food is amazing. Shouts out Korean BBQ in the steakhouses. He writes, they got everything. The food was good in Buffalo, but the options were a little limited. Here they got everything. So Von Miller loving his stay. He also called us the Washington Redskins, if you didn't know. I could not believe that he said the Washington Redskins, but he did. He said the Washington Redskins called me a month and a half ago and started talking, signed and agreed to come here to Washington about a week and a day ago, and here I am. Okay. Also, quick note from Skylar Nelson. Quick look at Commanders 2025 NFL 4th round draft pick wide receiver Jalen Lane. He appears to look really good in training camp as well. Von Miller says you can't leave Josh Allen to go just anywhere, and he chose Washington because this team is all about winning. That's why that's why Von Miller chose to choose Washington, because we're winning right now. Miller also said he feels like he's known Dan Quinn for so long. He's a player's coach. Von said all the rumors about him are true. He's a great coach. So, yeah, man, Von Miller spoke to the media today. We had Brandon Coleman speak. I went over that. It was a really good day. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys maybe later today. I think I might have another video out today if any news comes out. But there was your practice report. I hope you guys enjoyed the clips and analysis today. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you want to become a channel member. The link is in the description for that. You guys have a great one. We'll be back covering training camp tomorrow. Boots on the ground. As always, hail to the Washington Commanders. You guys have a good one. Have a good rest of your day. Again, you might see this face later. I don't know. Might pop in later, make a video or a live stream maybe. You guys have a good one. Peace.